マスターを連れて逃げるんだ。
私は強いの。あんたなんかよりずっと。
Hey, what's happening, everyone? Sir James coming at you guys with another video. In today's video, I'm here to provide you guys a quick little review on the Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Now, of course, this is the latest installment, and for the first time, the series has been released on the Xbox One and, of course, PC, specifically Steam, of course. And pretty much in this game is that it doesn't really follow along on a main pathway, or are you playing as the main character. This game, you are actually the protagonist. You actually get to create your own custom avatar, whether it be a male or female, of course, personal choice. And there's actually some decent customization as you kind of progress in the storyline. Now, of course, one of the things that they've also mentioned within the game is that pretty much you kind of get to make choices. And of course, depending on the choices you make, will kind of affect the outcome of the story a little bit, but again, I had never really kind of noticed that at any point whatsoever. And of course, you also have an AI companion that's always constantly calling you master, and of course, depending on your basically gameplay style, your AI companion will basically follow suit. So again, if you're more of a tank, again, your AI will be a tank and so forth. But again, it's kind of a side story, nothing like too major or following along. But of course, you do get to run in with some of the original cast of characters from the previous installments, whether or not you've read the books, you've played some of the previous games, or heck, maybe you've even watched the anime, which is absolutely a must-have if you haven't done so. But let's go ahead and talk about the graphics. Now, to quickly touch upon the visual areas of the game, this game is using the Unreal Engine 4, and in general, the characters and environments, and of course, some of the level designs, boss layouts, and so forth actually look very good. So I was actually pretty pleased with how it looked visually, though gameplay is kind of another story. Now, going into the gameplay, the best way I could describe it is, well, to be honest, it's bland. I was actually expecting a little bit more, and to be honest, I knew going into this game that it wasn't going to be like some MMO RPG where you could actually play with hundreds of other players and anything crazy like that, though hopefully one day we will get that type of installment. Again, because it has the name Sword Art Online, the online doesn't apply, again, that big of an aspect, because that's the name of the actual anime or book itself. But again, in general, the gameplay is pretty bland, and basically, like the gunplay in general, even though you do have a variety of different weapons, they're pretty basic, and the only real benefit that you get, of course, is upgrading some of the weapons as you progress further into the game, because some of the bosses are basically going to be bullet sponges, and of course, you're going to have to kind of make sure you stock up on ammunition, especially before you progress. You're going to have some of the RPG mechanics here as you enter areas. Of course, you're going to be several different enemies in different level ratings. Like some enemies could be level 3, like for example the starting area. As you progress, you're going to see enemies that are like level 20, 25, and maybe some even harder ones depending if you're trying to do a little bit of exploration. For example, I was kind of in a general area just trying to map out everything to see where stuff was at. Ended up discovering a kind of like a little mini boss that was like 20 times more levels than I was, and he pretty much slaughtered me on the spot. And of course, later on I came back into that area, and of course I was still below level, but I managed to take him on with my AI companions. Speaking of the AI companions in the game, again, it's a mixed batch for them, because there are times where they actually do okay, or they're doing skills that you kind of command them to do alright. They almost remind me of Donald Duck from Kingdom Hearts, where he's not as useful. And here, again, the AI at times is just flat out not useful. For example, I was in the middle of a boss fight, and basically if you happen to go down in combat, that doesn't mean it's game over for you or going back to the lobby. If your AI companions are still alive, they could actually revive you, and it's actually pretty quick. And there are times where I'll even issue commands for them to focus on healing or to come back to me just so they could heal me. And they just kind of stand there, and they're just constantly doing barrel rolls all the time. And they're, again, at times they're utterly useless. Now, the game does also offer a co-op feature where you can play cooperatively, but again, the co-op is also pretty basic. You pretty much go in a group of 4, of course with your AI companions as well, and you basically kind of knock back bosses pretty quickly. Now, of course, the more you progress into the game, there's going to be some higher level bosses. Like for example, I've seen one that's like 145 as far as level rating goes. extreme bullet sponge, but again, you could face bosses like that as well, but it gets really pretty much repetitive extremely quick, and again, it's not as exciting as it sounds. Now there's also a PvP section where it's basically, you know, a 4-on-4 type situation. Again, that's also pretty basic, and it's not really going to offer a lot of lifespan. Just in general, this game doesn't actually have a lot of lifespan. Now some of the things that you could also do, again, as you level up, you can add attributes to certain areas like your strength, the dexterity, and these are going to be important aspects because there's a lot of different skills that you can use depending on your playstyle. So if you want to be more of a tank, you have that option. If you want to be more of kind of the assault, if you want to go in for close combat using melees like the sabers that you've seen probably in the anime, again, you have all these different playstyle options, and the AI companion is also supposed to adjust to your playstyle as well, but at times that wasn't working out quite perfectly as I was hoping for it to, and there seems to be a lot of issues for that general area too. And of course, depending on what weapons you have, if you're not finding anything, you could actually go to Kirito's room, and there's going to be some, again, some people that you may recognize from the anime itself, and you can actually go up, and some of the ones will offer, you know, resources where you can actually make different outfits for the characters. There's other ones too where if you happen to find items that are currently unidentified, you could actually spend a little bit of in-game currency. Again, there's like no microtransaction options here, and again, kind of see if that random rare item it was actually worth it, or if you're just going to sell it for a bit of a profit. And of course, you also have the options to enhance or upgrade current weapons, but be aware is that if you are upgrading your weapons, make sure you look at the stats, because sometimes you'll upgrade a weapon that's currently your main one, next thing you know you can't equip it because your dexterity isn't high enough or your strength is. So you also have to kind of keep tabs with everything that you're upgrading as far as that goes. But again, in general, the gameplay is extremely bland, and you know, again, this game could entertain some people for several hours, and then for other people, not so much, or to the point maybe they want to wait for a price drop. But like I said, in the end, I was expecting a little bit more based on the trailers itself. I was thinking that this is kind of be a little bit of a big game changer. But again, overall, in the end, I was left a little bit disappointed, to be honest. But in the end, I'm actually going to be giving this game a 7 out of 10. Might be worth the rental if you want something like that, or maybe wait till it drops down for like around 20 bucks or less. But again, 7 out of 10 is going to be my most rating. And again, just the summary of it, it just feels bland to me. Again, I wanted to see more. Hopefully in the future we could get something a little bit better. Or again, maybe an actual full-fledged MMORPG would be a really cool element. But, you know, it might be a couple years before we see something like that happen. But in the end, I am Sir James from GamerFusion.com, where we empower your gaming.